Welcome back to Gamer Reviews. Today I will review Injustice 2. Before we begin, if you would like to see more content like this, please subscribe, leave a like, and tell me what I can do to improve my videos. Anyways, let's get into the video. Let's start off with the controls. The controls in my opinion are a major mess up in this game. Let me get this straight. Some of the characters' controls are really well done, but it's the abundance of characters where their controls are not good. They got the right idea with bigger characters having less combos, and smaller characters having more in certain cases. For instance, Batman has a lot of good combos that you can pull off fairly easily, and that's great because you would think Batman of all characters would be the easiest to control and have the best combos. For Harley Quinn, it's the opposite. There's next to no obvious combos they can pull off. It really frustrates me because most of the characters that I really like playing as in this game are really bad at combos. You either have to hit the buttons really fast in succession, or they just don't have combos at all. I was also very surprised at how limited the controls were. I know I'm always complaining about certain combos being too elaborate, but in this case it gives you more freedom on how to control your character and what you can do to make your character better. This game does not pull that off very well at all, because some of the characters only have about 7 different combos, and that's it for their controls. This game just needs more variety and fighting style than anything else. Yes, I was happy that the controls were simple, but for the people who are advanced players, I can see how this can be very disappointing to them. Now on to the graphics. The graphics are really good, and yes, it is a noticeable difference between the first Injustice game. Are the graphics as good as Mortal Kombat 11? No, and I wish the graphics were as good as MK11. But the graphics were still very manageable, and it was way better than a lot of games I have played. Because I played on the Xbox One X, I did get HDR at 4K. The HDR did make a big difference on graphics, as it usually does, so if you have an Xbox One X, then turn on HDR, which I'm sure you already have it on. The characters looked really well done as well. For some reason though, I really didn't like the choice of looks for the Joker. To me, he just looks like an edgy teenager, which is not what the Joker is like. His character design is way better in the first Injustice game. It suits him better, but this character design of everyone else were spot on. Now on to the sound. As usual with games made by NetherRealm Studios, the sound is just great. To me, the sound of punching and stuff is really impactful, and to me having impactful sounds during combat just makes the combat seem and sound more brutal. The music was pretty good, but I would say that the music was better in the first one than in this one. The voice acting was really well done as well, but I actually recognized some of the voices. Now I'm not sure if these were actual actors that I've seen before, or they just sound familiar. No matter who the voice actors were, the voice acting was still really well done, and it actually suited the heroes. I have to commend the actress who voiced Harley Quinn, because she voiced Harley Quinn perfectly. I'm not sure if this was the same voice actor from the Arkham series, but it would be really cool if it was the same actress, because it sounded exactly like the Arkham series Harley Quinn. Batman was also another really well voiced character. This was just a little thought that I had, but it would have been really cool if Henry Cavill would have voiced Superman, because this came out after he became Superman, so that would have been really neat, but again, the voice acting was still very well done. I only have one minor complaint about the sound. I have noticed after you face off against an enemy and the first round is over, the person says a catchphrase. When they do this, sometimes if I'd say they're on the right side of the screen, you would hear the voice coming from the left. I do not know if this is on purpose or not, but it's very distracting. Now we get to the juicy part of this game. There's quite a bit of content in this game, and I will list them off here. So one thing that I really like that has been added to Injustice 2 is the fact that you can upgrade and customize your characters. This is a really good thing for me and for a lot of other players as well, of course. The best thing about customizing your characters in this game is that it can actually change the look of your character. Let's say for Supergirl you can change the emblem on her chest, you can change the type of pants she wears, the type of sleeves she wears, heck, you can even change the color of her clothing. Another thing that I would like to mention about the character clothing changes is that it does affect your stats. What I mean by this is that, let's say if you change the type of sleeves you have, then your health may go up, and your defense might go up, while your abilities might go down. So you would have to choose the clothes carefully. As I have said in other reviews of games like this, I don't really look at the stats, I just look at how the character is, and I just choose the clothing that looks good. There's also a multiplayer, but I will get into that soon. There are also these things called mother boxes. You are a DC fan, you know exactly what mother boxes are, but that's not what this video is for. Anyways, these mother boxes are used to unlock clothing and special abilities for your characters. You can also buy these mother boxes with in-game currency, so don't worry about having to dish out extra money just to buy loot boxes and stuff. This game does not do that. There is also a multiverse section. In the multiverse section, you have a choice of 7 different planets that you can go on. These planets do change every once in a while. When you go into each of the planets, you are given a set amount of characters to fight, and you will win different types of awards and unlockables. These can get very hard. While you are in the multiverse section, there is an option to go to Battle Simulator. In the Battle Simulator, you get to choose your own character and just go through a set of different characters, and then after you defeat those characters, you'll be given your own ending to a storyline, and it directly connects to the main story mode. There's also the Legendary Multiverse. I would like to be clear about the Legendary Multiverse that it is not for the ordinary player. This is for the next level of player who have been playing this game for a long time and know what they're doing. I don't need to really go into detail about this one because it's the same thing as Multiverse but in Legendary mode. Now I will talk about the story mode. Injustice 2 takes place shortly after the first Injustice game. A lot of the characters that used to be part of the regime in the first game are now either in prison or in hiding. These unsuspecting heroes have no choice but to team together to take on a new foe named Brainiac. Quite honestly, I say Injustice 2's story is way better than the first one. You're always on edge during the story, just wondering who's going to turn on who and when. I myself am a huge superhero fan, and a couple of things about the story did bother me a little. I only have 2 real negatives about the story that just didn't make sense. For some reason, they show that Gorilla Grodd can actually talk. I have no problem with this, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that Gorilla Grodd talks to people through his mind, not with his actual voice. The other complaint that I have is the fact that it seems like Supergirl has not aged a day since Superman's arrival on Earth. I have no problem with this, and they did explain it at one point in the game why she was the same age, but they tell us more than halfway through the game. Yes, in the first couple of missions she does tell us, but in a very faint way that nobody would catch unless they're really watching for it. If they had just explained a little earlier that part, then I would not have complained about that. Overall, the story was much better than the first game. Now I'll talk about the multiplayer. The multiplayer was both really good and kind of bad, at least in my experience. I say it was really good because the matchmaking was really quick and it was very easy to navigate through the menus. My problem is with the gameplay itself. Now, I'm probably not the best person to tell you how gameplay was in the multiplayer section because I'm really not good at this game. I'm just mostly in this game for the story, but because this is a review, I need to tell you about multiplayer, of course. First things first, there are different types of modes in multiplayer, which is competitive versus and King of the Hill versus. There is a version of King of the Hill where there isn't any competitiveness, but the problem with this is that I was not able to get into a King of the Hill lobby. I'm not sure what the reason is, but I suspect it's because nobody really cares for that mode. So unfortunately, I can't really give you my thoughts on the gameplay. I can give you an idea of what competitive versus and non-competitive versus is. From what I got out of it is that the competitive versus was for more of the elites of this game. The reason why I say this is because I tried it and I lost every single match I played. I was actually laughing at how bad I was at this game. But you also get to see that people take this game really seriously and they know what they're doing, and it's really cool to see. The non-competitive versus is better, but it can still get very hard. Non-competitive versus did feel pretty good because I played for a good 20 minutes and I did win once, but otherwise I was not doing well at all. I will now talk about local multiplayer. There's not really much to talk about on local multiplayer, but I would like to mention it because I love seeing newer games implement this. It's the fact that you can connect the second controller and play with your friend when you are together or with your girlfriend or boyfriend. It's good to do this because some people really don't like multiplayer, and also there are still a lot of people who don't have internet access, so this is perfect for people like this. This is the part of the review where I tell you what I did and did not like about a video game. So here we go. I will start out with a positive. I really like this story. It just shows that all heroes are meant to do the same thing and they all share a common ground that they should save humanity and keep planet Earth safe. This really shows that people can indeed put their differences aside for the greater good. Even if you don't like each other or don't agree with each other, you can still fight for a common cause. Now I will tell you one negative. It's again with the story, but it's with how long the story is. I wanted the story to be much longer. The reason I say this is because the main villain, Brainiac, was a really interesting character to me. He is shown as this type of person who just wants unlimited knowledge, and he goes to every single planet he can possibly find just to take their knowledge and gather all of their artifacts. I guess what I'm saying here is I wanted to see more of a Brainiac origin story than anything else. He's a very interesting character, and I wanted to know why he is doing this. Where does he come from? Who are his parents? And did he know anybody from Krypton personally? There's this sense of secrecy with Brainiac in this game, and I didn't like that. I really wish we got more Brainiac, and I feel like if the story was longer, we could have gotten a lot more information about him. I would have also liked to know, how did Supergirl find Earth? Where was she all this time? Where did she get her suit? How did Wonder Woman find her? Or how did she find Wonder Woman? There are so many mysteries within this game that it kind of takes away from the story, so I hope we can somehow get a game where they have an in-between the first Injustice and the second one. I know that wouldn't happen, but it would be really cool. This game was a lot of fun, especially with the single player modes, because I'm naturally a single player. Multiplayer had its challenges, but I still had fun playing in multiplayer. I would certainly play this game again. The story is just good, and if you actually keep on going over the story, you can keep on making your character better and better, which is great. But there's also a multiplayer and a lot more other content to enjoy. Now I will tell you whether or not you should get this game. If you're a big superhero fan, then you'll love this game, especially the fact that you can customize the characters to what you want makes this even better. It's even greater because you were introduced to new DC heroes that you probably didn't know about, and that just makes it even better. For a low-level player, multiplayer can get really annoying, and I do warn you that there are a lot of good players, so if you're planning on just jumping in for a casual thing, you probably aren't going to like that. So that's the end of this review. I would like to thank everybody for watching and see you next time.